What's going on, Dolph fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm here to do one of my quick hit scouting report videos. This one is for the Baltimore Ravens. They did play the Colts yesterday on Monday night. We don't care about the Colts anymore, so we're going to focus primarily on the Ravens since they are still on our schedule. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, it was a pretty thrilling game, actually, and the Baltimore Ravens did not look like they were having a very good day to start with. But then they pulled it out in overtime, 31-25. Colts dropped to 1-4. Ravens are now 4-1. And just real quick for a little added context, look, I think the Colts, just a quick note on the Colts, I don't think the Colts are as bad as what people think or even what their record would look. They had to play a bunch of really tough games. Seattle, the Rams, Baltimore, a bunch of these. I think it was the Cardinals as well was one of their other games. Like, they've had a really tough schedule, and they've also had a bunch of injuries. So, I think it's a little bit misleading, but obviously they're having a rough start to their season. Their one win, of course, came against us, so goes to show you how well we're doing. But the Ravens, and people were saying when this game is going on, man, the Ravens aren't looking that good. Maybe they're not as good as what people think. Nah, bro, the Ravens are just fine. They're going to be a tough team to beat. And yeah, so let's start getting to these stats. Baltimore had 523 yards. And they gave up 513 to Indy. Real quick, I'll wait until we get to the league standings to talk about that. Baltimore had 437 passing yards. They gave up 390. They had 80. Surprisingly, they only had 86 on the ground and gave up 123. They were 7.5 yards per play, giving up 8.1. Let's see. Both teams lost a fumble. Neither team lost an interception. Both teams allowed 2 sacks. Baltimore was 37% on third down and gave up 50. They had the ball for 33-51, and Indy had it for 30-45. Obviously, that includes a little bit of overtime because this game was decided in overtime. Baltimore had 8 penalties and Indy had 5. But yeah, man, the Ravens, I don't see us beating them. That, to me, is going to be a loss on the season. Yeah, I mean, and look, again, well, let me wait until I get to because there's a couple things I do want to say relative to the league standings, but we'll wait till we get there. Lamar Jackson was 37 for 43, 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. So anybody that says Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball, that's obviously not true, and he actually has been throwing it a lot better this season, and that's one area in which he's been developing. But yeah, he's also a fantastic fucking runner, and that's some of what makes him fucking special. He's just a special athlete. Anyway, Lamar Jackson then led the way, though, in rushing with 14 rushes, 62 yards, and a 4.4 average. And look, I get that having a special quarterback can help to elevate your team and they can win games all on their own like Lamar Jackson did at certain points. I get that. But one of my arguments for or against the all you have to have as a quarterback philosophy is yeah, that's one way you can win, and that's certainly wonderful to have, but those guys are super hard to find, and there are other ways to win too, and I personally would just rather build a well-balanced team regardless of the quarterback. Because then you give yourself the best opportunity to succeed each and every year. And then if you can find a quarterback like that, well, then you can really start to, perennially contend for division titles, conference titles, and the Super Bowl. But yeah, but no matter what, building a well-rounded team is always the better way. Latavius Murray added 6 rushes for 17 yards and a 2.5. Receiving, Mark Andrews led the way, 11 for 13, 147, 2 scores. Marquise Brown, 9 of 10, 125 and 2. And look, I got to keep it real, bro. These look like similar numbers to what the Tampa Bay Bucks just did to us, right? Like, and so unfortunately, that's actually how I foresee this game going. I think they're going to stomp us. And especially, too, because they've had the Dolphins' number for years, and they typically stomp us when they play us. And the Dolphins, unfortunately, as I've been predicting, I hate being wrong about this, but it looks like the team is not very good this year. The season is collapsing, and the issues are far greater than just the quarterback position. Anyway, let's continue on. Devin Duvernay was 4 of 4, 45. Sammy Watkins, 2 of 3, 35. Devontae Freeman, 3 of 4, 34. James Prochet, 2 of 2, 15. Tyson Williams, 2 of 2, 15. Latavius Murray, 2 of 3, 13. And Josh Oliver, 2 of 2, 13. Obviously, they are able to spread the ball around. And like I said, man, and that certainly has helped Lamar Jackson in his development, making sure to have, playmakers and reliable guys on the outside and so on and so forth, and at tight end and all that. All right, just for a little added context for the defense, since we obviously don't care about the Colts anymore since we already played and unfortunately lost to them. But for defensive context, let's go through this a little bit. 25 for 35 was Carson Wentz for 402 and 2 touchdowns. They did have a really good game, the Colts, and you could say that they should have won this game. And like I said, man, I do think that they are better than what their record would suggest and so on and so forth. Anyway, Jonathan Taylor was 15 for 53, 1 touchdown and a 3-5. Marlon Mack, 5 rushes, 47 and a 9-4. Nyheim Hines, 4 of 18, 4 for 18 and a 4-5. Jonathan Taylor led the way in the receiving game, 3 of 4 for 116 and a score. Michael Pittman, 6 of 7, 89 and a score. Paris Campbell, 4 of 6, 56. Mo Ellie Cox, 3 of 4, 50. Zach Pascal, 3 of 5, 48. Kylan Granson, 2 of 2 for 19. Ashton Dillon, 2 of 2 for 13. And just a quick dip down the rest of the way so you can take a gander if you so choose. And with that, we will then swap over to the league standings. So what I want to say about the league standings and relative to that, and you will see what I'm talking about as we go through. Offensively, they're clearly in the top of the top 10 in every single category. And their offense, especially with Lamar Jackson at the helm, is just going to be way too much for this team, especially considering the fact that the defense is absolutely regressing, which I told you guys it was gonna. I actually just didn't. I thought they were going to regress to more of the middle of the pack. However, I believe that part of the reason why that is actually why it's worse is because I do believe that Brian Flores is losing this locker room if he hasn't fully lost it already. And these guys don't want to play for him, and especially because they've shown that the offense ain't doing shit for him. So these defensive players are like, fuck it, bro. Like, why should we give our all for? I actually think that has a lot to do with it. And then, to be fair, because people are shitting on Xavier Howard in particular, but also Byron Jones. I'm actually going to defend Byron Jones here a little bit, even though, I think he's overrated. But they both have injuries, bro. And they both have 2 injuries. Xavier Howard is battling a shoulder and a groin injury, which, helps to explain why the dude's not being able to keep up with some of these guys. He's never been super fast, but he's always had good makeup speed, good instincts, knows how to fucking identify routes and stuff like that. It's just and a groin injury is a big deal. Byron Jones is dealing with a quad and an Achilles injury. So, but that's not surprising that they're wearing down because they have to stay on the field for 37 plus minutes every single fucking game. So I don't like that people are shitting on Howard or even Byron Jones in this context for being as bad as they have been throughout the season, because, there's failure point after failure point across this team. And yes, I do believe that a lot of these players, not, those 2 included, but, a lot of these players that they brought in, are not as talented as what people think. I do think that they have whiffed on, a lot of these draft picks. And I do think that they're terrible at development and so on and so forth. But Flores is definitely losing this locker room if he hasn't already. Anyway, let's get to this because that's, not the main point. I just wanted to get that out there really fast because, it just bothers me that people are shitting on these guys for things that are not their fault. Anyway, that's not to say that they've had good performances, though, because it's true that they haven't. You just have to read into why that is before you can just start fucking shitting on people, bro. You got to direct the shit talking to the right people. Anyway, I mean, they certainly deserve some of their own credit, but like for Xavier Howard, for example, the reason why he's battling through these injuries is because he just got paid. So like people are be like, oh, they just renegotiated his contract and he was being a crybaby about it and whatever. Dude, he's playing through fucking injuries because the Dolphins finally did come through and give him some fucking more money and come to the negotiating table after they were clearly had no interest in paying him whatsoever after his phenomenal performance last year. And only did so because they realized their secondary was trash. All right, that's enough of my soapbox on that. Let me finish this. The Ravens are first in the league in total yards with 2,203 and 440.6 per game. This obviously now is with all of the Week 5 games having been played. Let's see. They are fifth in the league in total passing. And again, this just goes to show you that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are passing the football. And they certainly are capable. They're fifth in the league with 1,519 total and 303.8 per game. So Lamar Jackson is averaging over 300 yards per game through the air. Now, of course, they're also fourth in the league in rushing with 744 total and 148.8 per game on the ground. They're ninth in the league in total points, but eighth when it comes to having ties included with 136 total and 27.2 per game. Now, with the league standings here on the defensive side, you know, there's definitely opportunities. They did have to play the Raiders and the Chiefs in their first couple games, and then they played the Broncos, the Lions, the Colts this past week, who did have a good offensive performance. So I think some of these statistics are a little bit misleading, like these top two, because they did play really good offenses a few times this year already. So I think it's a little bit skewed. But, you know, based off of their standings currently, you would think that there are some opportunities to attack this team. And, you know, they don't seem to be particularly great at causing turnovers either. So, you know, if you want to look for ways in which the Dolphins maybe possibly could win, well, those are areas in which you'd have to exploit. Obviously, there's more for the preview game later on because we don't play them until week 10. Anyway, defensively, they're giving up 389.6 yards per game, which is 24th. Passing, it's 315, which is 29th. Rushing, it's 93.2, which is 7th. Points per game, they're giving up 23.4, which is 14th, or 12th with ties included. Takeaways, they have 5, which is 21st, 8th with ties. Interceptions, 3, 22nd, 6 with ties. Fumbles, they have 2, which is 20th. Oh, man. It's... What is the tie? I think the Dolphins are, let's see, fumbles third. So they are fifth, tied for fifth with fumbles. I forgot to add that in there. My bad. But they are so they are tied for fifth. I can correct that right now when it comes to fumbles. Sacks, they have 12 on the season, which is 11th and 6th when you add in ties. Let's see. Whoop. And there we go. And passes defense, they have 17th, which is 22nd in the league, 11th with ties. And third down percentage, there actually aren't any ties on the list. So it's just clearing away, you know, where they fall. But they are actually 7th in the league on third down percentage with 34.5. And that is even still after having given up 50% to the Colts this past week. So they are still, you know, in the top part of the league in third down percentage, which is not very good for us. Anyway, and just to wrap this up, because this went a little longer than I wanted to, or usually does, because had a little bit of a rant I wanted to go on there, a mini rant. But here's a look at the Dolphins' current offensive and defensive league standings. Obviously, we are in the bottom half of the league, and damn near every stat, with a couple, you know, still, like, you know, overall takeaways and fumbles, we're still good there. Everything else fucking sucks, offensively, defensively, and we're in the bottom 5 in damn near all of these statistics too. So passes defense is good. So unfortunately, not very good for the Dolphins, and the Ravens are going to be a super, super tough team that we likely are not going to be able to beat, unfortunately. But you know, there is still the any given Sunday, and we'll see what happens with Tua coming back, and hopefully he can help to elevate this offense at least a little bit. As you guys know, I don't think that he's going to be able to come in, be Superman, and he's not going to solve all of the problems that we have on this Dolphins team, not just on the roster. And, you know, it sucks because unfortunately, I got to keep it real. I feel like the probability of him getting hurt again is higher than him being able to come in, stay healthy for the next 12 games, and then rip off 8, 9, 10, 11 wins. I just, the probability isn't there, man. It sucks, but it is what it is because this is the team that they gave us. So anyway, again, enough with the extra little tangents. I'm going to get out of here. That is my quick hit scouting report video for the Baltimore Ravens. And so with that, I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.